Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to It's Your Life. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Amy. How are you
How are
today?
you? I'm good. How are you?
Yes, and you're in the midst of moving.
Yes, this is the best it's going to be right here today because after this, it's going to be all sweat on.
Okay. So everybody that's watching this is witnessing Kelly sitting down for 30 minutes.
That's it today. That's all I get.
That's funny. Well, good. Well, and actually I'm buying some of her old furniture. So I'm looking forward to seeing her today with the old furniture. So today, I think this topic is so relevant in our culture right now, in our world, but how to conquer fear.
Mhm.
Um, and so when Kelly and I were preparing for this, I really got clear on, my story and how I left teaching to become a coach. And what prevented me from doing that for so long was fear. And then as I started digesting more of writing my book and, some of my client stories that are in there and recognizing that so many of them, they were stuck for years because of the fear that they had. So we thought it was relevant now with all that's happening now at this time in our world. And there is a lot of fear,
A
uh,
lot of fear. Yes.
of what we know, what we don't know, what will happen, what could happen, what might happen, what won't happen. There's so many, things that we don't know what's going to happen, right? We don't know, and we can prepare for
Right.
things. We get stuck and always, well, what is it you say? We always jump to the worst case scenario.
That's human nature, I think, just to jump to that. Well, what if this happens? And it's the worst case scenario when that's how do you know that to be true? How do you know that's going to happen? You don't know. And I think people, it's that, I really think like that unknown,
Yeah.
yeah, the unknown is what creates a lot of fear.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of it runs with our beliefs too of, who we are and how we become who we are. So sometimes those beliefs are kind of ruling that if you're a people pleaser like I am and I want to make everybody happy, that's why saying no to people and particularly people, I guess, and maybe opportunities, it was, because of that, that, oh gosh, what's going to happen if I don't say yes and go help this person right now?
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to love me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I really think about that, or I have a coach say to me, is that the only thing that's possible? Is that the only possibility? And I go, oh, what else could happen? What else is possible? And
Right,
I think,
right.
oh, so it's possible they would just respect my boundaries and be okay with it. Oh, I guess that could happen too. Right?
Right, right,
Right.
right.
Um,
You gotta think of
and
the positive, not because again, it's human nature that I think we worry about the worst possible outcome.
yeah, but what it does is it keeps us frozen where we are. And so I know for me, I stayed in teaching for a long time because I had this mindset of I couldn't do anything else. And if I did try something else, what would happen? Oh, it might not work out the first time,
Mm-hmm.
right? I might not be good
Yes.
at it. Somehow I might fail, or, so I mean, those fears kept me in teaching for a long time.
So,
Uh,
what made you finally come to that point where you made the decision to get past the fear and take and step out of the teacher box?
well, and unfortunately for me, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, is things had to get so bad in the situation I was at,
Mhm.
where I don't want to say I didn't have a choice because I still had a choice to stay, but because I was physically feeling sick and
Mm,
mentally just like worn out by everything, that
yes.
that I was like, I have to do something else. Like,
Yes.
I don't know how I can stay like this. This is not good for me. It's not good for my family. So I think people do that too with their health and their life too. They stay in relationships or jobs, continue doing habits that are not good for them
Right.
because they're afraid of changing.
They fear change.
Yeah.
Right. I can think of multiple times in my life that I feared that change and I stayed stuck until, yes, you get to that point where, you're either dreading going to work, you're dreading talking to a certain person, you're dreading continuing what it is that you're doing. And it's fear.
Yeah.
If you dig deep and peel the layers back and figure out why you're feeling that way or why things aren't the way they are, there's a big word of fear somewhere in there.
Yeah. And I think right now we're living, a lot of people are living in fear.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that there aren't some things to be concerned about right now. I think that we're not suggesting at all that we just throw it all out. Well, that expression, throw it out with the baby. I finally learned where that expression came from.
Throw it out to the baby.
No, throw it out with the baby.
Throw it out with the baby.
I posted it on Facebook because someone else did, and I shared it, and it was where these expressions came from. And
where did that one come from? I'm curious.
Well, so years ago, probably in, I don't know if it was early America or early in a country. I think it was early America. They had one bathtub,
right?
And they would fill it up, and the head of the household would go first.
Oh,
and then, the kids, and I don't know where the mom was in there. Honestly, I don't remember that part, but I just know the baby was the one that got to go last. And so that's where the saying came is, it was so dirty by then, is don't throw it out with the baby because you may not be able to see the baby because it was
so dirty. Oh, that's gross.
Right. So anyway, back to what I was saying is that we're not suggesting that you don't be careful or concerned, but let's be real and really try to understand, are you responding and reacting in fear, or is there some other belief running the show back there, and just try to dissect it first. So there's a couple quotes that I have that are really relevant for this.
Okay.
That I think will help us talk about how to triumph over fear. Nelson Mandela said, courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. Right?
I like that one. Yes.
And then Archbishop Desmond Tutu in the Book of Joy, I got this. He says, courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it.
Yes.
So I think,
I like that one. And immediately that reminds me of something that I had gone through. This was back in, this is 13, almost 14 years ago when I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I'll never forget that moment when my doctor called me back to tell me, in his words, I can't believe I'm having to tell you this, but you have breast cancer. And I literally, how people say, I fell to my knees. Literally, it fell to my knees. I mean, it was just this. It was like a feeling of like a shock wave came through me. I didn't just fall to my knees because I was tired. I just literally couldn't stand because my body just kind of like shut down for a minute. And it's a shocking, those are shocking words to hear, but fast forward a few days and I'm kind of in the process figuring out where this path is going, and got to go to this doctor and that doctor and this test and that test. And I remember sitting in the examining room with my oncologist, and he was telling me, he said, okay, so listen, things are going to change. You can't go out in public. You can't, my kids were young, this is 14 years ago. They're now 23 and 17. They were young. You can't be, going to the school, you can't go to the grocery store. You can't go to Target. Well, the minute he said that, I can't go to Target. What do you Target?
That was upsetting to you, huh?
He said that when you do chemo, you've got cancer, your immune system is compromised,
right,
and you're going to be more susceptible to pick up viruses or bacteria, whatever.
Right.
And I literally, at that moment, like courage came over me, I guess. And I just kind of had this feeling like, that's not going to work for me. And I said, what is plan B? And he said, well, the only other thing I can tell you is, I guess, use hand sanitizer everywhere you go. I said, okay, then hand sanitizer it is. I can't not function as a parent. I'm and I take them everywhere. I do carpool. I'm involved in the school. okay, and I have to go to Target and Publix, and I'm not going to stop living my life. But I just mustered, instead of being afraid of the fact that I had cancer, it kind of pissed me off that I had cancer. Right. Like, I'm not going to let this take me down.
Right. Yeah.
No way. So I just mustered up that courage.
Yep.
to act in that way instead of being afraid of what might happen. Oh my God, I might die, or that was the first thought that came through my head. Like, I am not going when my kids are this young. Yeah, this is not fun. I'm not going this way. But anyway, my son just walked by and came in. Bye, honey.
He's like cheering me on. Go, mom. Go, mom.
But yeah, I just mustered up the courage and just said, okay, then. So now today, I mean, since then, 14 years, I've always got hand sanitizer on me. I just created a new habit, and I knock on wood, I never get sick. So, but yeah, courage. I love it. That's a great quote. Love it, love it, love it.
So courage. I'm glad you said courage. So courage is actually the English word comes from cœur, the French word cœur,
okay,
which means heart. And courage is indeed the triumph of our heart's love and commitment over our mind's reasonable murmurings to keep us safe. So our mind wants to keep us safe, right? But courage is our heart saying, I'm gonna still move forward. I'm still gonna act, even though my mind is going, oh my gosh, this could happen, that could happen. And we all know that chatter, right? I know I'm
right.
Okay.
It's hard to shut it. You gotta know how to shut it down.
Yes. And that's the practice of recognizing it. And then, okay, so what is real? What isn't real? What can I do? Right? What do I have no control over? Those are things that I found myself asking, and I have my clients ask themselves, what else is possible?
Right.
So if they're immediately going to the worst case scenario, this could happen. What else is possible?
Right. Yeah.
Consider it.
You have to think about that. You got to think about it's just, again, it's human nature. We just automatically go to that trigger of fear and what the worst that could happen. And, I mean, I remember when I got divorced after being married 20 years, it was like, I'm on my own.
Same thing.
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And, but, fearful of just, being the single parent and having to do everything on my own. But honestly, I'm like a very determined person. If I don't know how to do it, I'll figure it out. And I'm like probably 10,000 times more independent now than I know that I am, than I ever have been in my life. I feel sorry for the next guy. But anyway.
I don't know. That might be exactly what that person would want.
But, again, and I think it's like the immediate response in the beginning, whenever anything happens to you in your life, whether it's career, family, relationships, whatever it might be, that first response that you have automatically is that worst case scenario or the fear of what's going to happen. If you can find a way to control that trigger in your mind, get the courage from your heart to overcome it, or think of the positive thing instead, but recognizing that you're in that state of fear and worry, and flip it around and switch it. So like, you've been a coach for several years. What's something that maybe that you would share with somebody that they could do, or, a way to change that thought process to be able to control that or respond differently?
I'm glad you asked that, because as you were saying that, I was thinking, well, what else is possible? That's the first question to ask yourself. I mean, your first thing is saying, this is going to happen. Like you, when you were diagnosed with breast cancer, you could have stayed focused on the fear of the worst case scenario, right? Or when you have those thoughts, you can say, or what else is possible? Is it possible that you're going to kick cancer's butt and you're going to go on to live and do great things? Yeah. And you've done that. So clearly they weren't both the truth, right? Or they both could have been truths, but you chose to believe one truth and head in that direction. Got a fruit fly here. Sorry. I'm batting my hands. But if you choose the other one, then you're doomed to follow that direction. And whether that happens or not isn't really relevant. It's like now, with the virus out there, yes, some people will catch the virus and some people will get ill and some other people may not live. So those are all possibilities, but it's also possible that you'll never get this, or you'll get this and you will be fine and go on with your life. There's so many different things that you know. So which one do you want to focus on?
Right.
And again, it's not to not be careful. It's not to not, choose to wear a mask if you feel like you need it. It's not to say don't wear your hand sanitizer. It's not to say that we don't do those things. It's say, is this preventing you from doing anything else that you want to be doing right now because of that?
Right. When the fear holds you back and keeps you stuck, that's when you need to really kind of take a step back and think about it. Like, what am I doing? Why am I stuck? Why am I continuing to be fearful of this? I need to make a change.
Right. So to act despite the fear.
The fear. Yes.
Yeah.
Act and despite the fear. I like that.
Well, and that's from Desmond Tutu's thing. I mean, courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it.
Despite the fear.
Right?
We need to post that one. I love that one.
Well, I love it too. I think I need to have it up on my wall. I mean, anytime I'm fearful to do something, it's just a reminder because, again, I mean, I'm no different. I may have conquered some of my fears and chosen to move forward on things, but it doesn't mean that I don't have still things that I'd like to do better at, or I'd like to respond, quicker at, and not have someone have to remind me, like, what else is possible? Right?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. What else is possible? Current day for me, I'm looking around like this whole move with me. I've been in this house for almost 6 years, and I've put my heart and soul into this house, because I wanted to, make this really, great for my family. And I'm thinking down the road, okay, when my kids get married and have kids. But then I started thinking, okay, well, when my youngest one graduates in a year, it's just me in this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with a pool and yard to keep up. And then it became overwhelming to me, like, I think I'm going to downsize. And then my kids talked me into doing it now instead of waiting for him to graduate. Like, Mom.
Would you share with everyone? We may have done this earlier in one of our shows, but will you share with them what one of the reasons that you were afraid of moving because your youngest one is a senior?
Yeah. So my fear, I'm conjuring up these thoughts in my head because I'm human. My fear is I want stability for my son's last year, his senior year. I don't want to put him through, he's been through a lot of change in his life. I don't want to put him through yet another change during his senior year, which who knows what the senior year is going to look like this year because of the COVID. And he is going back to school face to face. We're going to see what happens. But anyway, I was holding back really what I know eventually I wanted to go ahead and do is make a move, and I want to simplify my life. I have realized that the older I get, I just want to simplify, declutter, and you can't take this stuff with you. When your time comes, someone else is going to have to be responsible for it. So and I've seen people pass and their family struggle and having to handle all this, their stuff, and homes and affairs and everything that has to be taken care of. And I thought, I'm not going to do that to my kids. I want everything done, taken care of when my time comes. And decluttering is one of the big things I wanted to do. So like really, really simplify my life and get into a simple, small little condo where I don't have to take care of everything and get rid of half of this stuff.
So you wanted to simplify.
I want to simplify, but my fear was disrupting my son's senior year. Mm-hmm. So, well, guess what? That fear was just non-existent after the more I talked to my kids, my son said to me, Mom, why our home is wherever we are. It doesn't matter if we're here or if we're in a condo.
I love that.
I know, right? I'm just
I love that.
Like, aren't you, but it's your senior year. So it doesn't matter it doesn't matter to him. It didn't make any bit of difference where we lived.
So your fear ended up being completely false.
False.
But it kept you in that house longer, and you never even had this conversation with him. You were just thinking, oh, I can't move. I can't do this. I can't do that.
My brain in my own head and my own self, and not talking to anybody else about it, was conjuring up all this stuff like, oh, it'll disrupt this year, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. When in fact, he was like, oh, that's exciting. Actually, I can redo my room. I can do this. He's got 3 or 4 like really good friends over in the neighborhood we're moving into. I'm like, I didn't even think about the positive outcomes.
I love that. So look at now, you had a missed opportunity, or you were missing out on opportunity because
Yes.
of your fear, when it turns out, and same for me, right? I stayed in teaching so long, and
Yes.
I was missing out on an opportunity to create what I have over the last 4 years. And I would have missed out on that if I hadn't said yes and acted despite the fear.
Act despite the fear. So we're acting, and I'm telling you, I'm so excited now. You should see this. I'm having a big yard sale next Saturday. You should see the stuff I'm getting rid of. I am cutting everything in half. I love it. Clean it out.
That's awesome. So next week you'll be live from your new place.
Yes, we will. Get my internet connected tomorrow. So yeah, next week we'll be there.
Very nice.
Maybe a background of boxes still, but hey, that's all right.
That's okay. But see, that's a great testament to your triumph over that fear.
Yes.
Yes.
But again, I mean, just, looking back, I'm like, that was such wasted energy for me to be worried about, oh, you got to keep things normal and, stay the same, stay the course. So not to disrupt his life, when he's the one just like, I can't wait. He's so excited. He's like, he had to go to work today. He goes, okay, as soon as we get back. I said, I'll have the moving truck, okay, let's get it all over there. I'm like, this is great. Yeah. So, when you find yourself in that place where you're worried, step back and think the exact opposite of what you're worrying about, and think, okay, what's the positive outcome that could come of this?
Right. What else is possible?
What's possible? What else is possible? And act on that. And see.
So that's how you conquer fear. That's how you triumph over fear.
How you triumph over fear.
I know we simplified it, but it really isn't as complicated as we make it.
Right.
We make it a lot more complicated than it is.
And you can apply that to any aspect in your life, your living situation, your relationships, your career. If you feel yourself stuck in that gut wrenching feeling all the time, anxiety and worry and fear of change and fear of acknowledging or even thinking about doing something different, then that's your gut telling you and your mind's telling you, act on something, but take action. Just take action on it. And you know what? Dig deep and figure out what it is that you want.
Yeah.
Because it is your life.
Right. It is.
And if you act on it, I can't guarantee it, but I promise you, it's going to be a much more pleasant path to stay on than this path of fear and worry. Just act on it, get the courage, muster up the strength and the courage and act on it, and just hit it head on and go for it. Just like I did when I got cancer. I'm like, I am not letting this take me down.
Mm-mm. And there's no time like the present. Now is
no time like the present.
Yeah. Okay. So time for our quote. What's our quote?
Yeah. So,
what's our day?
What's our day? Speaking of the present, today is National Watermelon Day.
Woo!
And I have nothing in my refrigerator, but if I did, I would probably have some watermelon. Trying to empty it out.
I'm gonna have to I can go to 31 Produce and get a watermelon today. I bet they have them there.
It is summertime and the fruit is so good right now. I love summer fruit. It's also National Georgia Day. So,
well, if you're from Georgia or you live in Georgia, happy Georgia Day.
Happy Georgia Day.
From Florida.
Yeah, from Gator Country, Florida.
That's right. Oh, you have a Seminole there in your house, though.
Yes, I do. We have a house divided. I have my Seminole mom shirt. It's gray. It's not garnet and gold. Catch me in garnet gold. But we had an interesting conversation at breakfast this morning about the SEC and the ACC and college football coming up. And I guess they're starting, but oddly enough, they're splitting. Like the ACC teams are only playing the ACC teams, and the SEC is only playing SEC teams, which will dominate game day, by the way. I'm just saying. But I don't understand that reasoning of why, I'm going to play with you, but I'm not playing with you. I don't get it, but I'm just happy there's going to be college football.
That's all you want. Okay.
That's all I want. When all this moves over, I want some college game days.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so.
All right. So happy Watermelon Day.
Yes.
And happy
Watermelon Day. And courage. Yep. Dig deep, find your courage.
And happy moving day for Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, so there's no time like the present. Now is the time to reclaim your life if you are living in fear.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, just act on it. You know, dissect your worry and your anxiety and your fear. Just acknowledge your fear and figure out a different way to deal with it and act on it. Do something, don't perseverate or focus or just get weighed down with that fear. You can conquer fear. It's easy. Just do it. Act.
Well, and if you need help, I mean, that's to me where coaching comes into play.
Yeah,
it's just
true.
I mean, I find I can only share from my experience. I mean, the support and accountability that I received when I first was coached and I left teaching was the difference. I mean, because then you're not doing it on your own. You get somebody you're checking in with, and you get somebody that's encouraging you and also holding you to what you say you want and you say you're going to do that week. So, you don't have to go it alone. I think that's another whole show. We're not meant to do it all on our own. It's okay to ask for help.
Yes.
Another one of my things I've been learning. Well, I've learned to let it go. I can ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. For all you superwomen and you supermen out there, we don't have to be superwoman and superman. It's okay to ask for help, right?
It is okay to ask for help. Yeah, that's been one of my challenges.
Well, and sometimes it's actually what we need most is to just say, I can't do this myself.
I can't do this on my own. Yep.
Yeah, because we keep doing it ourselves, and it's often not getting us where we really want to because, I don't know about you, but I've done the same thing over and over and over again. It may have looked a little different, but it was really about the same.
Yeah.
So until someone else goes, is there another way that you could do this? And you go, oh, I guess there is. I guess it's possible. I could do it a different way than I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. So that's the same thing with fear. If it's keeping you stuck.
Yep.
Using a different way of looking at it can be the first step to triumphing over it.
Agreed. Awesome.
I feel like I could talk for hours about this because I feel like fear is like the number one thing that keeps people stuck where they are.
Oh, totally. It will hold you back. I mean, honestly, you know what? If you just sat down with a notepad, like all these thoughts keep popping in my head where I've had fear and didn't address something. And then some things years later, I finally addressed and then realized like, why didn't I address that 5 years ago? Instead of having that fear all my life or so many years,
Right.
But make a list of the things that really get in your way. Yeah. And really think, okay, well, if this worries me or bothers you, is fear attached to it? Okay, how else can I deal with this? There's another way.
Yeah. Right. There is another way. All right. I got a compliment from Carol on my hat. Thanks, Carol.
So funny. I have the same hat. I haven't packed it yet, but maybe I'll have mine on next Monday.
We should wear it in the same day.
I know.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in with us.
Yes,
remember, now is the time to reclaim your life because
it's your life.
Yeah. After all, it is your life. Okay. So we will see you next week, and Kelly will be in her new place.
Yay. So excited. All right. Got to go get my truck.
Bye.
Bye.